What's going on, guys? This is Elliott Splash with F1 2015 Raikkonen career mode. We're at the Silverstone Grand Prix, my home Grand Prix, and this should hopefully be a good race. We've qualified on pole position, and I am sorry about the lack of uploads over the last week and a half. I've been working non-stop since Thursday, haven't had a chance to make any videos or record any, and I've also had a funeral to go to, so it's been a busy week. But anyway, we're waiting for the 5 lights to go out now for this Silverstone Grand Prix, and it's lights out and away we go, and it looks like we've had a absolutely blinding start. However, it looks like Hamilton is going to try and come around the outside, but he doesn't have the room to try and overtake me. So we are still in first position at the moment, and it looks like there's been some kind of issue at the back of the pack, because they've fallen off quite a bit, probably around about 2 seconds now. They are behind me. I don't know what's happened, but Vettel is now up to second, so it's first and second place for the 2 Scuderia Ferraris. So we skip now to lap 5, and you can see we are still pulling out a gap to Vettel. We are now probably around about 3.5 seconds in front of second place, and Bottas is just behind him. There seems to be a few train of cars behind Vettel, so it looks like he's holding them up, and as I say that, Bottas overtakes Vettel, and we are now just coming through this little tricky mid-sector section, I said the wrong word, but as you can see now on lap 6 we are deciding to come into the pits, and you can see how dark the sky has got. This could be typical British weather. It could be raining by the end of the race, so we're going to come in and put on a set of options, and this will hopefully take us to around about lap 12, lap 13, and then we can put on 2 sets of prime tyres, I believe is the pit strategy. So we put on our option tyres now, and it's a 2.5 second pit stop, and where we're going to come out, probably the lower end of the field, because we still haven't pulled out too much of a gap, because it's only been 7 laps since we started the race. So we are now, looks like we're going to drop to 11th place. Bottas is in the pits as well, along with Vettel. So we are now exiting the pits in 11th place behind Jenson Button in that Mercedes. So we are now in 11th, but we hopefully will start climbing back up the pack once everybody else starts pitting in. I know the team Mercedes still need to pit, and look at that, Will Stevens is in 12th place. That's good for the man of Russia. Now we skip to the end of the lap, and we see who we overtake when they're in the pits. So it looks like we are now up to 7th place, maybe 6th, no, it's 7th. And on lap 8 it looks like other cars are now coming into the pits, so we should be starting to climb back up to the order. Where we're going to come out, 4th? Is that where we're going to come out? I think actually we're up to 3rd. Yes, we are. We're behind Kvyat, and we are also behind Lewis Hamilton. On lap 9 we're going to try and overtake a lapped car, Roberto Merri, and as we run a little bit wide, as you can see the rain has started to fall, so there's definitely going to be a little bit of an interesting race for tactics. So far it hasn't been that interesting for me to race at all. 9 laps I've had nothing to do basically except to overtake that lapped car. I've just been in front of everybody for the whole duration of the race. Now on lap 10 we're now up to 2nd place, and we are now just behind Lewis Hamilton, who's about 15 seconds ahead because he hasn't pitted yet, and that must mean he's on the prime tyres, so he might actually win this race by merit by starting on the primes if we have to go onto the intermediate tyres. As you can see now on lap 10, it looks like we've overtaken Hamilton in the pits now, so we are now back up to 1st place, but we're losing temperature in the tyres. I mean, he could have gone on the intermediates. I have no idea if he's on the options, primes or the intermediate tyres, and as you can see we're running wide in most of the corners, so I think at the end of this lap we are going to come into the pits, and that we do. Raikkonen decides to come into the pits on lap 11, and we are now going to be fitting on a set of intermediate tyres that will hopefully take us to around about lap 20. They should actually last till the end of the race if the rain stays like this. It could obviously get heavier, it could subside, and we have to go back onto the option tyres, and I hate how long this pit is. It's like 20 seconds long just before you get to your pit stop. I mean, it's now 20 seconds now, and we've just exited the pit box, and we've still got to get to the end of turn 1. It's a very long pit in entry and exit. It loses you a lot of time, so having a good pit stop and not being held up is always nice at the Silverstone Grand Prix with how long the pits are, but we've now dropped to second place behind Lewis Hamilton and just in front of Nico Rosberg as we run a little bit wide coming on the exit of the pit exit. That didn't make sense, but I know. And lap 14, you can see how heavy the rain has started to get. Maybe we're going to have to go on to the full wet tyres, as you can see. I think we're going to come in this lap, yeah, and we're going to put on a set of intermediate tyres just to... Because if we stayed out on intermediates, we would have ended up probably losing more time, and we still want to try and overtake Hamilton and win this race. We're in second, don't forget, but we are now into the pits where we're going to come out. Let's just get into our pit box first. We've spent most of this race in the pits, especially most of this video. But yeah, it's another 2.5 second pit stop, and we are now still in second. Vettel is in third, and he keeps on pitting in on the same time that I do for some unknown reason. He keeps on ruining his own race. So we are now, it looks like we're actually going to come out in second place, I believe. Oh, we lose the rear end slightly. We don't get any damage, luckily enough, to the front wing. That was just a little bit too much power coming on the exit of the pit exit. And I've said that once more, and it doesn't actually sound right, but I'm sticking with that. So on lap 19, nothing has really happened. Vettel has had an issue and had to pit again. I'm not sure what it was. So he's now at the back of the field. I believe he's in around about 16th, 17th place. So he's once again having a bad race. Sebastian Vettel is not having much luck this season. However, I think he still is third in the Driver Championship. So we are still in second. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to catch up to Hamilton. I believe he's around about 18 seconds ahead as we start lap 20. And we are now coming through the first sector. Hopefully these tyres will last to the end of the race, because you can see the rain is starting to get a little bit lighter. It's a little bit better conditions out there, and maybe we can jump Hamilton if he has an issue. That's the only way I'm going to win this race, I think, as we come on to the last lap of the race now. And it looks like Lewis Hamilton has got the race win in the bag. And you can see the conditions have definitely got a lot better, but we are not going to have a chance to overtake Hamilton. He's about 20-30 seconds ahead. As you can see, he's already won the race. He's already crossed the finish line. So he's now won the race. I think that's his first race win since, I believe, Australia or Malaysia. But we're going to, looks like, come out in a solid second place with Bottas around about 5 seconds behind. So this has been a decent race. It hasn't been one of the most exciting. I think we would have won the race if it had stayed dry conditions, but it would have been an even more boring race and a more boring video, because there hasn't been a lot of action. I will be honest, this Silverstone Grand Prix hasn't been exciting by any means. The only reason it got a little bit exciting was because of the rain and tactics coming into play, like Hamilton jumping us and things like that. But we're coming across the line now for the checkered flag, and that is a solid second place for the Silverstone Grand Prix. Here we are coming on to the podium steps with Lewis Hamilton in first, us on the second step, and Valtteri Bottas in third. So we're still leading the championship. I believe we're like 50 points ahead of people at the moment. It's been an absolute easy season so far. I've not walked away with this many points by the Silverstone Grand Prix in any of my YouTube videos or series. So even though the AI are harder to beat in this game, it's still too easy. The Legend AI just needs to be bumped up a little bit. We was 48 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton in the end. Sebastian Vettel finished in 12th. I think also the Ferrari package in the wet isn't as good as the Mercedes and the Williams. We do struggle in the wet. I've noticed that with the performance of myself and Sebastian Vettel. So that's something the car needs working on, maybe, having a good balance in the wet, because we both do struggle in the wet conditions, but in the dry we're one of the best drivers and best cars on the grid. As you can see, also a lot of people got 5-second penalties. So this is the end of the video, guys. Also, if you're watching this long, I've now bought iRacing. I've now got iRacing, and I've been doing a lot of racing on that when I've had chance. If you would like to see me do videos on iRacing, just tell me in the comments down below. I have thought about doing it, but at the moment I'm just getting to terms with the game, really, and making sure that I'm a decent racer on iRacing. and I'm very sick of the rookie series already. Everybody keeps on hitting me off track, and you can see there was a lot of incidents, and you can see that we were on Legend AI, so we're still finishing second in this kind of race when it's all been messed up and stuff like that, but we're still finishing second. I think we need a mod to improve the AI speed, really. But anyway, this is the end of the video, guys. Do not forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Elliott Splash, and as always, guys, I will see you in the next video.